Hi everyone, welcome to Pawpaw's Workshop. Today I got a special project. I'm working on a flag for an Eagle Scout. And I want to be able to go over again how to be able to set up the XY0 home position. I still get lots and lots of questions about how to center the work, where should it be. So today I'm going to try one more time to show you that the XY home position can be anywhere that you want it to be. So let's get started. The flag that I'm going to be working on today has the Scout Oath on it, and I've set up a preview of what it's going to look like. And these are just guidelines here that I laid out to give an actual look on what the flag would appear so that I could send it to the customer and get his approval on it. The names over here actually have been removed for the sake of privacy. Now I'll carve this where each stripe is done separately. And I'm going to carve this section over here individually separate as well. Okay, the XY0 point on the machine itself is right down here at that black dot. That is the XY0 point. Now the most common place to do the carving is have the workpiece placed right down here so that the material is at the XY0 point, and then you carve. So then if I simulate that, you can get the path on where that is going to carve with this as the starting point, and it'll carve across. Well, one of the things that I want to be able to do is carve this on the vertical. Now this works great if you have a short distance and that the machine can handle. But the work that I'm doing today, it quite possibly will go beyond the limits of the machine, so I need to be able to carve it going along the axis, along the y-axis. So what I'm going to do is rotate this 90 degrees, okay, and then I can slide that over to here. Well, if I'm still carving where this is my XY0 point right here, then I can hit simulate and it will still carve and it shows the toolpath. One of the difficulties that I have though is how to secure this at each end. But you can see that is the path. Well, something else that you can do, people often ask, well, can I have the XY0 point in this location? And actually, yes you can. You can't see it over here until you preview it or simulate it, but when I simulate it, this will carve just fine. And there's the path that it'll take. It will carve that. One of the things that I'm going to do today is actually slide this up right into the center and be able to carve it right here with my XY0 at this point. So now if I hit simulate, you're going to see the same thing. It's going to start at that XY0 point and be able to go out and do the carving. And this is a little bit different from what people have done before. Another thing that you can do is carve from the center. So if I highlight this and go up to the center position here, I could center it, and I'm just going to manually move it right now, to approximately the center of the location, and then I can hit simulate again. And it will still carve. Anywhere that I put this, I can have this down here and hit simulate, and it's going to carve just fine. It will carve. The machine doesn't care where this is located. You just make sure that the workpiece is set up the same. So what I'm going to do today is carve this where it's on the edge and in the center. So that's how we're going to carve that. So let me show you why. Each one of these strips is 24 inches. So if I want that to be in the center, I need to have that at the 12-inch point. So if you look over here, this is actually centered, and if I had this stretched across, this is my workpiece, the wood itself is 24 inches long. If I centered that, it would be 12. So I just simply move this down so that it's going to be in the center. Now let me show you how we're going to set this up on the CNC machine. Now the machine XY0 point is right down here at this point. And that corresponds exactly to this point right here. So this white field here represents the wasteboard, and this point right here represents the XY axis for the zero home position. This position doesn't change, nor can it change. However, even though this is the machine home position, we can have anywhere on our whole entire work surface the work XY0 point being 0. Now the first line that I'm going to carve is the words "The Scout Oath," and that's going to be the red stripe. So that is the home XY0 point right there that I will use for all of the carvings for this Scout Oath. Now what will happen is I'll be able to just slip this board out, slip the next one in, and it'll be ready, and all I have to do is just clamp it down. It'll be ready to carve. So that XY0 point is actually 12 inches from the end of the board, and that's where I have the bump stop that you can see in the video. And it's important to have that set so that as I change out each of these strips of wood, it remains center on the text for the entire Scout Oath. In this manner, it only requires me to set it up one time, and each of the strips will be the exact same center point. And it's important that the entire Scout Oath along all of the lines remain centered. Even though the individual lines may be longer or shorter than the other ones, I still want them centered in the flag along that same XY0 work position. Now all I need to do is just release this, bump stop here, and release the one on the back side. And then this slips out, and the next one will slide in. And now the new one will slide right back in. And that automatically establishes my XY0 point again. I don't have to reset that. All I need to do is clamp it down, and we'll be ready to go. Now what do we have to do to the screen to be able to make that match up? Well, we have, on my honor, I will do my best. I have my height set, and I need to have this, the 0.556 is correct, but I need to change my y-axis to 0. And that moves it right down to the center. So if I look at this, I know from the center point to the last word is 8 inches. So I know this entire section is 16 inches long. So just to confirm everything, I can measure from this point down 8 inches, and I know the words are going to come to right here. Likewise, if I do 8 inches up here, I know that I'm going to be clear. And just to double check, you know that's my 24-inch point, and that's 12. Now what I think I'm going to do, because that's my 8 inches, I don't want this to interfere, so I'm going to move this bump stop over 1. I don't think it'll touch, but I don't want to take a chance. Now with the bump stop repositioned, I can double check it, and my 8 inches will be right here, so that will be well clear of the text. Now obviously this line is quite a bit longer than the title of the Scout Oath, but it still remains centered on this complete stripe, and that's the important part on this whole process. Okay, with this line complete, I'll do the same thing. Lower this one, get that one out of the way, and it slides right out. And that's what it looks like right off of the machine. There's just a tiny little bit of cleanup that'll need to be done. Other than that, this looks awesome. Now the first half of the Scout Oath is completed, and these were all the 24-inch sections. The next question is how to deal with the longer 37-inch sections. And actually it's exactly the same way. I'm not going to change anything at all. To carve the one that's 37 inches long, it's set up exactly the same way. The only thing is, this part will stick off of the machine. But that's actually okay, because the carving will stop the same place as it always has, being that this is the center of my text. So it'll only come down to roughly about this point. Then over here, in a later carve, I'll come back and show you how I carved this section. So the XY 0 point for the work is exactly the same place as it was on the shorter 24-inch sticks. These strips of wood are 37 inches, but that doesn't matter. And it doesn't matter that it sticks off of the CNC machine. And you can see that this carves just fine, and it still keeps the text centered. Now if you look at this, everything is perfectly centered, and that was the whole idea. And by using the XY 0 point halfway down the board, it made it where the alignment was very easy. Now we're going to move over to the next section, and we're going to put in the name Eagle Scout and that personal information there. To be able to set up the next section to put in the personal information, I need to be able to find the center of the union. The union was 10.5 by 13. The 13 is the important measurement because the 13 goes along this line. So what I need to do, finding half of that, that is going to be 6.5 inches. So I'll go ahead and mark out 6.5 inches, and that will be where my new XY 0 point will be. And I'll be able to put the Eagle Scout in here, and the other words will go down below using the same XY 0 point. Now what I've done this time is I rearranged my bump stops, and I put my stop down here so my stripe will slide in and stop at this point, and that will keep the same measurement. My 6.5 inch line is going to be right here, and that's where my XY 0 is going to be. So I'll set the machine up to that point, and then each one of the 4 lines will be able to be aligned correctly without having to remeasure. And all I had to do is move down on the y-axis till that point aligns with my measurement that I have on my stripe. So the XY axis now is set to my 0, or I should say my work 0 point. Now you'll also notice in the video, if you take a look at the end of the stripe, it is also sticking off of the end of the CNC machine. And again, this is not a problem because it's only carving this area. Now it's time to go ahead and torch all the different stripes in the flag. And I'll put a link up above where I have shown that in other videos. Hi everyone, thank you for watching my video today. If you like the video, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button down below and the little bell next to it so you'll be notified on the different videos that I upload. Also check out the videos over here to be able to stay up to date on the happenings in my shop. So again, thank you for watching my videos.